In a typical factory, Amazon, Walmart, wherever, all departments are interconnected. The CEO, human resources, receiving, production, and shipping. If the CEO is suddenly fired and there's nobody steering the ship, things start to fall apart. If human resources isn't keeping up staffing or morale, things start to fall apart. And production starts to go down. Receiving starts to back up. Shipping's going, where's my stuff at? Same thing with receiving. If receiving is not doing their job, then production doesn't have what they need to do their job, and they can't ship anything out. My point being, like a factory, everything in our life is somewhat interconnected. In the body factory, we have pieces: physical, inter and intrapersonal, emotional, cognitive, environmental, and spiritual. And when I talk about spiritual, I'm talking about people's sense of meaning and connection in life. We need to recognize that any stress in any of the pieces of life will activate the stress response and the body and brain's best attempt at maintaining health and safety. That is so important. Anxiety and anger are not pathological. They are not something to be gotten rid of. They are something to learn how to acknowledge, and instead of being stuck in that feeling, acknowledge the feeling and be motivated to do what's necessary. Now, sometimes, especially with anxiety, we just have to sit with that for a minute because there may be something outside of our control that is triggering that anxiety. But we can also address our thoughts about it. And we're going to talk in detail about that. But just a brief overview of the interconnectedness of the pieces. When we are physically stressed, when we are sleep deprived, triggers the stress response. When we are nutritionally deprived, triggers the stress response. When we're in pain, it triggers the stress response. When the stress response is triggered, our energy is diverted more toward fight or flee, and the prefrontal cortex, where we do a lot of our thinking and reasoning and cognitive processing, kind of goes offline. That impacts our patience with others. It impacts our ability to effectively, assertively communicate. If we're not thinking clearly, it's hard to get what's in here, if we can even figure out what it is, out our mouth to the other person. It can impact our self-esteem and our self-efficacy when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're having difficulty communicating, when we're having difficulty attending and thinking. It impacts every area of life. Chronic stress in life contributes to systemic inflammation, and systemic inflammation contributes to persistent activation of the stress response, which means people who have chronic stress also likely have chronic inflammation, and that chronic inflammation keeps them from ever being able to truly and completely downregulate, truly and completely focus on that prefrontal cortex. Now, everything is a continuum, and we need to remember that. If somebody is in fight or flight, they can think a little bit, just not nearly as well as they can if they're calm and relaxed and feeling safe. Our goal is to help people turn down the stress response so some of that energy can be diverted to higher order processing and trigger the changes in the body that help a person feel safer and more empowered. When our stress response is active, our sensory gating goes down. That means our brain becomes more aware of all the stimuli in the environment. It pays more attention to all of the threatening stimuli in the environment. And it can cause people to feel very overwhelmed and exhausted. So let's move on.